Hello, first graders. It's Mrs. Tauscher. Good to see you guys. I can't wait till I can see you in person. But we are going to get started on our very first project of the school year. And we're going to be learning about a style of art called pointillism and a little bit about a famous artist whose name was Georges Seurat. So Georges Seurat was famous for his paintings using the style called pointillism. And if you think about the word pointillism, it kind of really makes a lot of sense that that's what it's called. If you take the first part of the word is point. And if you think about the word point, there are different meanings for that word. However, we're not talking about like a point in basketball or points in football. We're talking about points on a piece of paper. So if you think about a point on a piece of paper, it would be like a little dot. So artists that use pointillism paint their pictures using dots, and all sorts of dots of color, different colors mixed together. And then when you step back from the painting, the colors mixed together start to look like other colors, and the paintings start to look very realistic looking. Now I'm going to show you a few examples of Georges Seurat's work, some of his most famous paintings, and then I'm going to do a demonstration so that you can see how you are going to make your own project using the pointillism style. So we are going to be practicing our pointillism skills today. What I want you to do is pick one shape that you would like to draw. My only suggestion would be that it's not a shape that is really difficult to draw. So I wouldn't attempt for this project to draw, say, an octagon or a hexagon or anything that has a whole lot of sides. Stars can be cool, but they can be really difficult to make. So if you are really good at making stars, you can do a star. We don't want the lines going through the middle though. So if you draw your star with lines going through the middle, make sure that you draw it very, very lightly so that you can erase those lines out of the center. So I am going to pick a heart, and I'm going to start out by drawing one big heart. So say you choose a square, you're going to draw it big. And I want you to notice that I'm filling up quite a bit of my paper. I also want you to notice that I'm drawing pretty slow and that I'm not pushing too hard because, as you can see, we all make mistakes. And I want to be able to erase them and not have the lines show up. So I have one heart. What I want to do is some overlapping. And if you've forgotten what overlapping means, it means that you have something that's over the top of one thing. So if you look at my hand, I have my hand. This hand is overlapping my bottom hand, and I cannot see the part of my bottom hand that this hand is covering. Okay, that's overlapping. So I want to make, I would say, two more of the same shape, but these are going to be smaller than my first one. And I'm going to make them overlap my first one. Not a lot, just a little on the edges. So maybe I want to put, maybe I want another heart here. I'm going to draw it right over top of that first one. But then to make it overlap and look right, I need to erase the part of this first heart that is covered up by my second heart. So I'm just going to erase this part right here. And now I have two hearts, one of them overlapping the other. Over here, maybe I want it right here. This one doesn't have to be the same size either as either one of them. Ooh, yeah, see, that didn't look very good. but I can erase it. Now this heart that I just drew is a little bit wider than these two, which is just fine. That doesn't bother me one bit. And I'll erase again if I want this heart to be behind. Now, if I want this heart to be over top of this heart, all I would do is draw that line back in, or I wouldn't erase it in the first place. And I'll erase this part of this heart, okay? So, the next step is to start adding color, okay? Now, we're going to use markers for this part of the project. I have like the fine line markers, the skinnier markers. It doesn't matter if you use these or if you use the ones that are bigger around, as long as you're just using markers, okay? It's a little bit easier to do this using markers than it is using colored pencils or paint, especially to begin with when you're first learning how. So you want to choose colors that are going to look good next to each other. You might also mix the colors, and by mixing I don't mean like color blue and yellow over top of one another. I mean that you might have some blue dots, but then in between the blue dots you might have some yellow dots, and then when you step back from your picture it will start to make it look a little bit green because blue and yellow mixed together makes green. So we don't want to put something called complementary colors next to each other, which would be like blue and orange together, or purple and yellow together, or green and red together. They look good next to each other, but when they mix together, they make kind of a brownish color, and that's not what we're looking for this project. So you just don't want to put these groupings together. If you put yellow and blue together, that'd look good. If you put red and purple together, that would look good. If you put yellow and orange, or red and orange and yellow, any of those combinations would be good. For this project, depending on what kind of box of markers you got, you probably have black and brown, you may have gray. For this project, I don't want you to use those. We want this one to be really bright and colorful. We'll use those for other things, just not for this project. So, what I am going to do is start with my pointillism. I'm going to pick my colors, which I think on the edge I'm going to use a darker color, so maybe I want to do blue. And we're really used to coloring things in. You really have to tell your brain not to do that. You're only going to make dots. So I'm just going to dot, 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 all over the place. Now, I'm learning using these markers that these skinny markers make teeny tiny dots, which is pretty cool, but it's going to mean that you're going to have to probably make more dots. So you might want to choose to use your thicker markers if you have them. Just the regular Crayola markers that are a little bit bigger around than this. Okay? So I would do something like this, and along the edge I'm going to make my dots really close together. But then as I start to get in a little bit, I start to spread them apart I'm having a hard time talking. I start to spread them apart a little bit. Okay? Now you would do this all the way along the edge here, and maybe down right here, and then you would change to your next color. So I know that purple would look good with blue, yellow would look good with blue, red would look good with blue, my pink would look good with blue. So, ooh, green would also look good with blue. Maybe I want to go with green. So what I'll do now is mix some of that green in with the area where I spread my blue dots apart a little bit more. And then I come out a little bit further and start putting my green dots a little bit closer together, more like I did out here. Now, I am sure in this video you can probably hear my marker tapping on the paper. What you want to be very, 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 very careful for is pounding your marker. It will wreck the tip, it will flatten it out, whether you're using these thin markers or the thicker ones, it will wreck the tip, and it will make your markers not last very long. So please, 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 when you're tapping, tap gentle. I know, like I said, you can probably hear in my video my tapping on my paper, but I promise you I am not pounding. I'm also not making lines. There are little spaces, I don't know if you can see up this close, but where my line kind of goes like that, or my dot, I'm sorry, because the way I pick up my marker. That's okay, you just don't want a lot of that. And also don't make marks on the edge of your paper like I just did. Okay, so then I can choose my next color. Maybe I want to move on to yellow. I'm going to put a few, that's not showing up very good on this paper. I'm going to choose a different color. Maybe, boy, oh boy, I don't know what color is going to look good. I don't want to go back to blue. We'll try purple. Purple and green mixed together don't look the best either. But I'm thinking maybe since they're both cool colors, they'll look okay. So I do the same thing. And you would keep on going till you get all the way over here, using as many colors as you want. You could also start your pattern over and start with blue again if you'd like. And then you're going to do the same thing with these two. Now, on these two, maybe you just want to use 2 colors, or maybe you just want to use 1 color. That is perfectly fine. So for today, what I really want you to do to be ready for your next class next time is draw your shape, whether it be a heart or a square or a circle, whatever. Draw the one shape really big, draw the same shape smaller, and show that you are overlapping like I did here and like I did here. And then just get started with the pointillism. I don't expect you to finish all 3 hearts. I don't want you to finish all 3 hearts, okay? I really want you to take your time, do a really, really good job, and when you're done working on it, like you know, it takes a few days for us to finish art projects, which is perfectly fine. So when you're done, put it somewhere in a safe spot. If you have a desk where you're putting your schoolwork, or a folder where you're putting your schoolwork, put it somewhere safe, and then the next time you come to class, bring that with you. Okay? All right, I'll see you next time. Have a good day.